Hello, everybody. Good evening. How are you tonight? Welcome to the Grin Guardian show. I am Glenn Sportcat Jackson. Got a special show for you tonight. I've opened the chat. I've opened the phone line, and we should be going out live on Yerg's Radio, where you can call us at 1-888-888. Let me start that over again. I added a few eights. 1-888-88-YERGZ on your phone pad. And so we're having some technical issues, and it is the cold and flu season. So we've got some sick cast members on all three of my shows, actually. So we're going to have a couple fill-ins here and there. So, but we're going to make it happen. Nothing real new and exciting to report. You can still catch me live on Thin Line Rock Radio, one of our sponsors, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 1400 Eastern time. I am rocking out, taking requests and playing hits and just having a good time. So I'm doing that. We are growing as shows. We're probably going to be in New Mexico by the middle of next month, and maybe some other points, east, west. I don't know. We'll see. Things are growing for the other shows. All right, well, let's see who I got hiding back here. I got the one and only Corey, Mr. I'm going to hunt you down and get you, bad guy. So, and then Warren is here to help us from, well, Warren, you're from like all my shows.
Yeah, I just kind of flow from here to there.
Well, I mean, you make the hats, you make the shirts, you make the stuff for the shows. So, we appreciate it. Thank you. So, we got you, and everybody say a prayer for Matt. He's needing some support right now, so he'll be back with us soon. But we're gonna let him spend some time with family. So everybody say a prayer for Matt. So, all right, and our guest is backstage here. Let me pull him up, Isaac. Well,
hey guys,
you freaked me out there for a second. I was like, okay, he joined, but there's no him. Well, Isaac, you know me. Corey, he is in Montana, and he goes out and hunts bad guys down and brings them back and puts them in the lockup when they do bad things. So,
nice to meet you.
And I think you've met Warren, but if not Warren, he's out in Oklahoma, and he's our resident.
Warren, yeah,
he's our resident engineer who makes. There's not much Warren hasn't made or can't make for us. So he's like our jack of all trades. So yeah, we got some sick people with the cold and flu. I've been up for 2 nights straight. There's a screaming toddler here. So if it sounds like there's a murder happening behind me, it's not. I promise you. I had forgotten what that ear-piercing scream from a toddler is when they do the projectile vomiting. And I was like, I'm glad I don't have to deal with this. But, poor little Wyatt, he's sick. So now everybody's getting sick in the house except me. I'm like, no, stay away. I don't want anything to do with you people.
So that's what happened in my house about 3 weeks ago. Everyone got COVID but me.
Oh, God.
Wow.
One of my other shows, a couple of the crew members have got COVID. They don't live together, but it's like, it's kicking off. So I think, trying to think where he is. I think he's in like Indianapolis, and the other one I think it might be Oklahoma too. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's just that time of year. So we're in Georgia. It's the time of year where everything starts to turn green, then it freezes, and it turns green again. So Isaac, tell us first off, when we talked, I know we talked a little bit back and forth about challenge coins, that you do like to collect them and that you have some. And so tell us a little bit about, have you ever, actually, I guess I'll start off. Have you ever made a challenge coin for any of your units or any of your departments?
No, I have not. I actually, funny you say that, because 2 days ago, I got an offer to buy a challenge coin because here in Arlington County, one of the sheriffs got injured, and a motorcycle officer, and they're trying to help him out with the medical bills and all that. And they actually made a challenge coin that you can purchase to actually help the family, with the purchase. and all that. So it made me think, right, about the show this week, about how important in our community, challenge coins can be, not only, because the challenge coins, the way that I see them, for me, they have a sentimental value. Like I saved them, and then I remember, when I was doing this, when I was doing that, and I met this guy. That's what they are for me, almost like a picture of that moment. And but a lot of people, save them for a lot of reasons. And I wanted to tell you one thing before I forget, because I'm getting old. I see Warren is wearing a hat, right? A baseball hat. So I read recently that, cool, man. I read recently that the only way that one of the ways that people know that we are Americans is when we go overseas, we're wearing baseball hats because nobody else in the world wears them. And I was looking at the history of the challenge coins, and it's another very American thing that nobody else does, or somebody else copied from us, because it actually started right here in the United States. The history goes back, to World War, I think it's World War II, I believe, what I read. They got different stories, but yeah. So, it's a very interesting field to study, and things that I never heard about, so. I
never knew that about the caps. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Every time you look at Europe and all that, I've been to Germany so many times. My wife is half German. I've never seen anybody wearing a baseball hat but me. And when I wear it, they know that I'm American. They look at me and they're like, "Oh, there goes an American." And at one time, I went to Turkey also, and at the airport, I was the only one wearing. And the people online, they knew I was American. And I hate to say this, I'm sorry if we have any Turkish listeners, but when they found out I was American, they sent me to the back of the line. And I asked, why are you sending me back? And the woman got really close to my face, and she says, because you're American. I'm like, okay, so don't wear a baseball hat in Turkey, I guess.
Yeah, that happened to my medical crew in I can't remember if it was Kuwait or Saudi Arabia, or it may have been Qatar. I don't know. We were over there somewhere in the sandbox, and they found out we were Americans, and they're like, "Oh no, you need to stand in this line," and it's like the line that's outside the door and around the corner. And the doctor that was with our crew, he's like, "Oh, hell no." He went up there and started raising hell, and me and the nurse and the other medic or respiratory therapist are like, no, you'll get a shot. They'll never find us again. Shut up. But yeah, and that's what they told us. It's because you're Americans. We put you in the back. Okay.
Yeah, the funny thing is, because my olive skin, I could pass, for another person in Europe, and when I was in the Middle East in the war, they would start talking to me in Arabic. And I was like, no, I'm sorry. I don't speak a lick of Arabic. I don't know anything.
That would be a funny accent if you did.
I was like, if you speak a little Spanish, I can. But no, no hablo Arabic. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It is funny. They do tell you things. I tipped we were like at a cafe, and I tipped we had like lemonade and a sandwich or something, for lunch. And I tipped the normal, I don't know, what is it, 20%, whatever. And I guess the exchange rate, apparently I tipped a lot. It was to a female waitress. Manager come out there and was just giving me down the road, telling me, you don't do that in this country. She doesn't get that much money. And I'm like, dude, this is just it was only a couple bucks. It was like a sandwich and a lemonade. And he said, well, you don't understand. He goes, there's two reasons. One, women don't deserve that. I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to argue with your country.
Wow, okay.
Well, that's what he said. It wasn't me. That was what he said. And
could you imagine saying that in the United States today?
They'd get cap in your ass. And you'd be canceled on top of that. So, yeah. But and he said the other thing he said was, he said, you're a fat American, and they're going to think you're rich and target you.
What?
I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah. He goes, the Americans that are fat always have all the money. He goes, that's why you're throwing it around like this. I'm like, dude, I'm a paramedic. You don't have a clue what you're talking about. I was like, that is so stupid. So insult me for being American, being fat, and tipping too much. So, yeah,
it's call your way to your face. Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't care. It's like zero given. It's like, well,
yeah.
And I did actually tell him, I said, you can't say this stuff in America. And he goes, have you looked around? And I'm like, point. Good point. So yeah.
I wanted to show you my favorite challenge coins upstairs in my jacket. In my jacket, I'm gonna bring it later. But my favorite challenge coin that I ever got was this. So I was in the 82nd Airborne Division, and I was in communications, and we helped the special forces with this mission, whatever, and it was in the JSOC, and that's what the acronym, the military. Guys know that everything's an acronym, and so anyway, so they gave me this really cool challenge coin that's very detailed. It has helicopters, it has the special forces, in action. It has a Chinook helicopter. It has a bunch of things. I was like, how did they put this much in this little coin? Because it's, the coins are like a little bigger than a quarter, as you guys know. But it's so detailed, and I wanna, and I meant to bring it, but I'll bring it here in a few minutes, and I want to see if you guys can see it. But that's my favorite coin I got, and then I got one from the CIA also, and it's in a shadow box. Those I cannot see; they're in my office, so I cannot show you those. But like I said at the beginning of the show, it's like, for me, every time I look at them, I remember, oh yeah, I met that guy that day, and and I was at that training, and I did that, and I did this, and I'm surprised that more people don't use that. I mean, in the civilian world, I know they use it for Friends of Bill W, when you get a coin and all that, but other than that, people don't get. I think they should be more common. Challenge coins. Like at work, like they do it in law enforcement and military. But I don't think. Have you guys ever heard of any civilian? I've never heard of it.
So my cousin up in Canada.
Yeah.
He actually just started. He got the idea for me because I've created challenge coins, designed.
I hope you're getting a percentage.
Right, I'm not. Anyways, he's getting challenge coins made for his knife business. So he makes hunting knives and foldable knives out of like Damascus blades. They're pretty expensive. They're pretty elaborate, and his challenge coins, he's going to give a challenge coin to every knife that he sells, or just pass them out to other people. When he goes to a bunch of shows around Canada, and he belongs to like one of the big, he's in charge of like the chairman of one of the big conferences in Western Canada, and they have a show every year, and he's going to start the trend up there with challenge coins. So I'm expecting to get some more calls from his friends to start this challenge coin in regards to knives. It's different.
I used to. That's a great idea. I used to be an ASP. You know what an ASP is? Police officers, the ones that you go like this, and they, and it's like, they're not used as much anymore. But in the early 2000s, that were used, and every time you became an ASP certified trainer, you will get a coin with an eagle on it. And that was the only company, not even the taser company will give you one. And I think that idea is a great idea, because if I was looking at knives, I would get that knife because it's giving me the challenge coin, right?
Right, exactly. And speaking of like ASP instructors or whatever, tasers.
Yeah.
I'm a taser instructor, so I started teaching taser. I started teaching taser back in 2004.
Yeah.
And that's when actually taser just started coming around.
That's when I first got my big one. What was the model?
Right.
Yeah.
X26.
Yeah.
First one.
Yeah.
So you got a challenge coin if you took the 5-second ride.
Oh, I did. I took the 5 second and nobody gave me anything. to this.
I got a
I only
challenge
have the
coin.
pain
And
to remember. I don't have any challenge coin to remember. I only have the pain that I saw for that day.
Right. Well, you know what? That pain is only for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Then it's over.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that challenge coin, I have to bring it from work. It's actually a pretty badass challenge coin that I got. And I'm kind of proud of that one because I took that ride. That was my first ride I took. I've done 5 rides on the taser, mind you.
Oh my God.
and a drive stun. So I'm not dead. Tasers don't kill people like what the whole media thing puts out. But
yeah,
I'm
but
actually.
it knocks you out. It knocks you out, man.
It does.
Know.
And actually, I'm going down to Texas next month, and Department of Corrections in Montana sent me down to Texas next month. I'm becoming a master certified instructor, so I can come back to Montana and teach all the instructors throughout the
That's
state.
a 20-second ride, isn't it?
No.
I have a taser story for you, if you don't mind, Sport Cat.
Oh, please, by all means, we love this.
So in the blizzard of 2010, right here in Virginia, I was a police officer on patrol, and of course there's snow, there's ice everywhere, and I'm on an area here called Lee Highway here in Arlington, Virginia, and I'm driving my cruiser, and there are of course there are accidents. So I park my cruiser, and I start going down this hill, icy hill. My legs fly up. I land on my taser, and my taser goes off. And the 2 prongs, they go into the plastic in the case, inside the case. So I'm laying there in pain, and I'm like, and then somebody came, "Are you okay, officer?" And the taser's going, and I'm like, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And the taser stopped. And then I went to the station, right? And because every time there's a discharge, you have to go back to the station. So I went to the station and I told them, "Listen, this is what happened." They're like, "You're full of it. That never happened. You had your finger in the trigger, but this and that." I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. You can see the prongs in the holster. I did not touch this thing. Maybe my heavy, person. I mean, because I was, at that time I was a heavy guy. When it landed, I don't know. I did something anyway. That's my infamous taser story.
They didn't believe you?
Yeah, no, they did not believe. They were like, "Here's a new one," and whatever. Go back out there.
That's exactly what they do to paramedics. They're like, "Okay, go back out there."
Yeah.
Walk it off.
Huge bruise on my pelvis, from the holster of the taser, because I landed on it basically. So, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Now, Corey, you'll probably relay that story in Texas.
Yeah. So I'm sure, Isaac, I'm sure you're aware they came out with the Taser 10 now.
Oh yeah. I work for a sheriff's office as a civilian now, so I see them all the time, testing them every day. Yeah.
Well, now they got the Taser 10, so there's 10 darts, and it's actually considered a weapon now. It's considered a firearm because they got to use black powder to shoot those probes out.
Oh, I didn't know that. Ah.
Yeah. So those probes shoot out 35 feet, and it's a lot bigger punch than your standard taser.
Is it called a Taser 10?
So now they can go through a winter coat, right? They can go through a winter coat now?
Oh, yeah. Well, as long as both probes, they don't have to touch your skin. As long as they're within an inch of your body, of your flesh, you're still going to feel it.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I heard.
Oh, wow.
When I first got my shot, I was like, one of those guys, very arrogant. Yeah, this is not going to knock me out. It knocked me out like within half a second. My face was down. Yeah.
And you say a lot of things when you're in that much pain. There's a lot of verbal diarrhea that comes out of your mouth when you're in that much pain. a lot of people say some mean things, but and that's
I have a
the fun
question.
part. That's the fun part.
I'm looking at your Taser 10. Could you get me the dimensions for it? Because you're right, it's packing like 10 prongs, laser guided, but I could totally customize one if you wanted the grips like a dragon or. Would that be illegal? I mean, can I get the dimensions on it? Because I 3D print as well, so it's like, man, I could.
No,
The dragon.
or no.
I'm not. That'd be awesome.
The Taser 10. I'm excited to shoot that. We haven't. They don't have them in Montana yet. DOC, the prison is actually going to get the Taser 10s before us probation parole officers out on the street. So the Taser 10s are going to hit the prison walls probably the end of this year. But that's what we're going down. I'll be certified to teach the Taser 10 to the instructors as well. But I'm excited to shoot it. I've never shot it before. I've watched a lot of videos, and it's badass. And it's right on the dot too. And when that laser pointer, there's no discrepancy. It shoots right at that dot. It's pretty awesome. So I'm excited to do that.
You know, this might be a sport cat. Did you ever respond to a retrieval of Taser prongs?
Yes,
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I used to be the policy in Virginia where if anybody got hit and it went into the skin, only the medics were allowed to take it off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in Montana, anything above the neck, the groin, the breasts, they have to be removed by a doctor. It's a ride to the hospital. Anything else, we can pluck them right on the street. We don't need EMS to show up or any of that. If you're safe and able to do that, we can do it right on the street. Our last Taser deployment that I was on, I'll find a picture. It's on my phone. But the Taser dart, the probe went right through the fingernail.
Oh gosh.
And one of the officers didn't realize, well, he'll just pluck it, and he was pulling. he couldn't pluck it, so he took a ride to the hospital, and the doctor didn't have any mercy on this guy either, and he didn't give him any numbing stuff when he plucked it. He just yanked on it.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like a Civil War when they needed to do amputations. There was no whiskey, nothing. They just give a wooden stick and say, "Here's your leg."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. He gave him a little. He gave him a little lidocaine on the top of the nail, but that doesn't do nothing.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
It's psychological. It's gonna work. That doctor didn't wait nothing, man. He just grabbed the pliers and just like, oh.
You know
Anyway,
what they should have given him? That was a good moment to give him a challenge coin.
Right?
Right?
No.
The doctor or the bad guy? Yeah, we would only get called. Well, I mean, we would get called out to remove them out, but if they were like near the eye, the groin, or the breasticles, we couldn't do it. They had to take a ride to the hospital. And I remember one of the very first ones I actually went on here in DeKalb County, Georgia. It was in the northeast part of the county, and it came in as a robbery in progress to PD. It was a jewelry store. What was an Asian jewelry store. And so these kids tried to come in with bats, bust the glass, smash and grab, take stuff. Well, they didn't realize that.
Oh man.
God.
Painful.
They didn't realize that every employee, and there was like 5 of them who come running out of the back, had a taser gun on them. And they all apparently aimed at the one dude. This guy had like 8 connectors to him. And when I showed up, they were still shocking him, and the cop's like, "You're gonna kill him! You're gonna kill him!" And I'm like, "I can't take that many out." So I had to take him to the hospital. But yeah, they were. And I showed up. You know how it is. The police get there, declare the scene safe, and blah blah blah. Then we come in, non-emergency, unless it's bleeding out or something. So they've been shocking this kid for a while. They had no mercy. They had no mercy. I was like, okay. Stop when I touch him.
So our rule is every trigger pull is a use of force. Every trigger pull is another report. And you just got to justify yourself. Every trigger pull is a use of force file.
Well, they were civilians, but still, I was like, goodness gracious.
So I don't know if I can't even. I don't even know if you can buy a civilian model anymore. When I first started teaching taser, you were able to buy the C2, it's called, and that's a personal taser, and it's shaped like a banana clip, kind of, but it shoots probes out 15 feet. But the whole object of that is it acts just like the typical taser, but instead of a 5-second ride, it's a 30-second ride. So the whole point behind that is when you shoot the assailant that's going to be attacking you, because these are civilians carrying the tasers, right? So if you got an attacker, you shoot that taser, that gives you 30 seconds to get away. Drop the taser and run. At that time, I don't know if it's still true or not, all you have to do is file a police report, send it to Taser. Taser will issue you a brand new taser.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that holds true anymore or not, but it's called the C2, and I bought that, and it's just like the taser. It has all the pulses going up right up to 30 seconds, but it's a 30-second ride instead of a 5.
Yeah, I can't imagine if that's what those people had that just kept shocking him every time.
Yeah. And it still had the drive stuns on the end. You didn't have to shoot the probes. You could just go up and zap someone too. It acted just like the taser. So
that's nuts. Yeah, I don't know what they had, and I don't know what the rules are here in Georgia. I guess I've never looked, but I don't think I ever took any civilian ones out. So, but that may just be because I live in the South and probably a bunch of Bud Light and they yank them out themselves. So
some whiskey.
Now, can you alter those in any way? Like a police, they're all just like off the assembly line, right? I mean, can you alter them, or is that illegal?
What do you mean alter them?
I see. Hold on. I see what Warren's going with this.
I know he's already talking about the grips.
Yeah,
and now he's going to go to altering.
Semi-automatic taser, where
Yeah, like the Scarface.
No, Warren.
Why not?
I knew there was a reason you needed to be here, Warren.
Oh,
that's great. Yeah, I'm sure that would be a lot of paperwork for the officer.
One of those. Corey, he's thinking of one of those extenders where you can turn a handgun into a rifle. He's
right.
You know,
I'm thinking kind of like Ghostbusters, right? You got to like pull it, like boom, start it like that. And...
Yeah.
That would be great.
Warren,
I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Warren?
Yes, sir.
That's called job security for us.
Oh.
And as a paramedic, us too, really. But we show up laughing. They have to do paperwork.
Is the ATF going to knock on my door tomorrow?
Right.
Well, you've already got 2 here, so I think you're safe. They've given you enough advice. So, and if I'm probably accurate in my guessing, my paranormal attorney is watching too. So.
And my ATF buddy is probably listening too. Just gonna throw that out there.
Sweet. Wendell says we need to make an electric coin. I tell you what, Warren, that's you. You make the electric coin. You give them didn't they have a little button used to when you shake hands, you could shock people? So
yeah,
that's a good idea, right?
Yeah.
Well, it could be
But-
bulky, and you could probably put some LED lights inside. It's not a bad idea. I mean, you got my mind going now.
Here
Wait a
goes
minute.
Lauren again. Here goes Lauren again.
Well, I hate to say this, but we're just as silly in EMS because when we first got nitro paste, which if you've ever had a cardiac problem, you get nitro, drops your blood pressure, relieves the chest pain. Well, they gave this to us as a toothpaste, basically. And you're supposed to put it on with this little ruler. He put it, this like severe chest, because we were in rural Tennessee, so we had like hour-and-a-half long transports.
Oh, gotcha.
And so you put it on and like measure it that way in case you gave him too much, you could scrape it off, because if you give it in IV form or under the tongue form, you can't take it back. And in a heart attack, you don't want to give them more fluids because that makes their heart work harder. So anyhow, we decided we were going to play with this. So was not I, it was a rookie went in and saran wrapped the toilet in the director's office and put the nitro paste all over the toilet seat. And needless to say, when he went in there, we heard a thud and a, oh, so somebody there at the station knocked Wayne out with the nitro paste, and we had to take him to the hospital. So yeah, we do stupid things too. So, he's like, who did that? I'm like, I have no idea. There's gonna be an investigation. Okay, I was on a call. So yeah, well, I mean, you guys know it as well as I do. If it wasn't for us doing silly things like that on the job, obviously we didn't mean to hurt him, but we have hard jobs, and it gives us a little bit of relief. We make fun of each other, relief, yeah, and of course there's some hazing involved if you're the new guy too. So,
oh yeah.
I was going to ask you, Isaac, when you transitioned, is Arlington a city or county? I don't remember now.
It's a county.
Okay. So you transitioned and I guess retired and went to the FBI. How was it going from like being on the street?
So the way that it worked was when you are in law enforcement, and Corey probably knows this in Montana the same way, you're assigned to federal task forces.
Oh,
okay. So I was a hostage negotiator, and that was my passion. And so I was assigned to help Quantico train the new people. So every time they had a new class, I would go there, or if they had like a big incident, I would just be the nerd that would go down there and try to help them out. Like Ruby Ridge was one, Waco was another one, the Freeman, that was another one, and there were other minor incidents nationwide that did not get so much press, but there were also some incidents that if you guys look it up, there was a school bus driver that took these kids, kidnapped them, and he built like a bunker. He built a bunker, and that that was one of the things also that that I was involved in the background kind of thing. But so that's how it went, and then after that I started teaching civilians, and I used to teach with Chris Voss, who was an FBI agent who became an author, and so that's how I got. And I'm still involved now. I still teach businesses and also teach law enforcement. I'm going to Arizona actually to teach Arizona PD negotiation on mid-April now. So I'm still in the field.
So yeah, you're still a secret squirrel. So. Well, tell me, how does so you mentioned some big incidents like Waco. I mean, you were in Virginia. How does that work? Do you go there, or do you have to?
No. So as you know, everything has a headquarters. So everything will be. I mean, the agents will be there, but also they will be here in Quantico making the decisions. Okay. And providing logistics, and all of that like that. But of course, the big decisions were made there and everything because remember there were so many agencies involved at that time: ATS, Secret Service, FBI, DEA. I mean, you name it. And then the local agencies because there were children involved. there were social services. I mean, you name it. I mean, every fire, fire departments of, SWAT teams. I mean, you name it. There were like thousands and thousands of people there. As you can, if you go back to the videos, you can see all the vehicles. Remember the vehicles? And, yeah, and everything like that. So it's when it's a big event like that, as you know, in any military operation, there's so many branches involved and so many things. So I was just a little drop of water in this big pond, of things that were going on.
Wow. But I mean, that's still a pretty big thing. So do you personally speak to people, or how does that work? I mean,
yeah. So
you see on TV and the movies, they're like, all right, we've got him on the phone, we're going to talk him. Is that the way it is, or is it much different?
No, not at all. So when you're a hostage negotiator, if I'm talking to you, I got like 20 people around me, feeding me stuff, or giving me intelligence, or giving me ideas, or because sooner or later you're gonna hang up, and then we're gonna talk about what's going on. For example, the only situation that you encounter maybe one-on-one is like on bridges. I took this class in Pittsburgh, and those who are listening that have been in Pittsburgh, the Yellow Bridge up there. And I didn't know when I took the Pittsburgh class, hostage negotiation, that they actually, when they're talking to people, they actually attach a belt to their waist. So you're behind me, sport cat, and you're holding me by that belt, so I don't go forward and try to get the guy, or the guy grabs me and takes me with him when he jumps, if he jumps or he falls or whatever that happens. So I never knew that, because we never thought about that in Virginia. We never thought about, oh, you got to put a belt to the negotiator so he doesn't fall, or what have you. So talking about that, so you asked me if I talk to people. Yes, there was a situation. I mean, I did talk to people a lot. Like, I'm going to tell you the funny story first and then the serious story second. So one time I go and I start talking to this couple. It's a domestic dispute, and he has his wife hostage because she cheated on him. So he's mad, he's angry. And I go, and one of the first, okay, hold on. I'm going to ask you guys, just going to tell me one guess, Warren and Sport Cat. So if you were going to talk, you are hostage negotiator, right? What would be one of the first things that you would ask? So they're in a barricade, right? They're inside somewhere. What would be one of the first questions that you would ask?
Oh, well, definitely, who am I dealing with? Like, before you go in, do I have the names, their background? You can probably pull up a computer, right? And be like,
okay,
right,
that's a good one. Okay, what about you, Sport Cat?
I was going to say that, and I'd want to know maybe a little bit more personal, who's in there, or if there's somebody in close proximity who knows more. Like here in the South, a lot of people live near their families, so maybe mom or something is next door. I mean, but yeah.
So I ask this question almost every single time I'm teaching a class, and very seldom I get the answer of, I would ask them if they're ready to come out. Because if you don't ask, you don't know, right? So that's what happens in this scene. I ask, are you ready to come out? And he says, yes, I'm ready to come out. So it took me by surprise, because I didn't know he was ready to come out, like as soon as I got on the phone. And then I told them, I turned and I said to the SWAT team, he's ready to come out. And they're like, no, wait, we're not ready yet. So I had to actually get back on the phone and say, hold on a minute, wait, because we're not ready yet. So that was one of the instances. But in a serious note, I had to speak to a guy that wanted to jump off a bridge once. And they called me at, it was on a Saturday, I believe. And they called me like at 1:30 in the morning. And I drive. And of course, you're at your house. You don't want to wake up. You don't want to get up. You don't want to deal with this. So you have to change your mindset as you're driving there, right? Because if you're angry, that's going to come out, right? So I have to adjust. So I show up there and there's a guy holding, like he's on the bridge, like he's going to jump. And they tell me, hey, Isaac, an officer tells me, hey, Isaac, I think I messed up. I offered him McDonald's, and McDonald's closes at midnight. and the guy knew that. So the guy took that as a lie, right? So I had to fix that right away. I had to say, hey, listen, I'm Isaac. Just so you know, I'm not going to offer you McDonald's. I know they're closed, and you know they're closed. So I'm not going to BS you with, offering you stuff that it's not going to happen. And I just want to hear, what's going on here today. What brought us to this situation here today? So anyway, long story short, he told me that, the system was not responding to him, that he was going to psychiatric help, but that the psychiatrists were not listening to him. And I spoke to this guy for like 2 hours. Now it's 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30, and I'm running out of things to say. And I'm like, man, I don't know what else to say to this guy. I've been listening, I've been asking questions. And I just said, what's your favorite song? He's like, what? He's like, what's your favorite song? He's like, Miss Jackson. I said, what? I don't know that song. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I Am For Real, that song. And I said, can you sing it for me? And he started singing it, right? And then I let him sing. I said, oh, yeah, I know that song. It's a pretty cool song. And I said, but you know what? I said, if you jump off that bridge right now, you're not going to be able to hear that song tomorrow. And next month, there's going to be another song that you'll like, and you're not going to be able to hear that song either. And then, Outcast, Kelly. And so I let him think, that's called an effective pause in negotiation. I let him think, and then he said, you know what, Isaac, I don't feel like jumping anymore. You were right. So that it just took that, for him to actually, say, I'm not going to jump. And then he came out, and then we took him to get medical attention, what have you. But, he just needed to be listened to, and he felt like I was listening to him, that I care about his welfare. And then he decided that he wasn't going to jump, and I never saw him again. So that was one of the many situations that I actually talked to people. But that's the one that I remember the most, because I remember how frustrated I was that I felt like I was not getting to him, at the time. So, and last story I want to tell you is like this was in a training situation, because I'm a hostage negotiator, right? So I was training somebody, and this person, I started acting like I was the negotiator to this negotiator, and the person did not notice that. And gave it like 45 minutes, the person started disclosing things to me and started crying. And mind you, that I'm playing a role player I'm the one, the hostage taker. But I'm like, I'm talking, and we're developing this, this relationship over the phone kind of thing, this, this bonding kind of thing. And then when the person started crying, they were like, time out. We have to wait, we have to deal with this, we have to deal with, because imagine if that happened in real life. Yeah. That would be a failure. So, but that goes to show you that we're human first, and then, we are, whatever, we are second. But in that situation, it was, and then the person came back, and then it kind of like, then it was better, but that to me, I found that, really interesting. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to take the airtime here. So.
No, that's what we want.
No, it's a great story.
No, and well, it's a great learning opportunity. I mean, for everybody involved.
Well,
yeah,
that's why we do trainings, right? You learn in trainings.
Yeah.
You don't. That's where you're gonna find the weakest and the weakest points is in training. We don't want to have those weak points in a live scenario. That's bad juju for everyone, the public, everyone. That's why we always practice. That's why we always train. We train. Because there's so many what ifs. There's so many scenarios. There's no situation that's the same. You cannot duplicate any situation. So that's why we always strive towards making up different type of scenarios, training on different type of scenarios. Because if we're redundant in our training, that's not accomplishing nothing. We got to be fast on our feet. We got to think with our heads.
Yeah. I I used to teach at GIPSTIC. That stands for Georgia Public Safety Training Center. For those of you that don't know, it's got everything. It's police, fire, EMS. Well, EMS for the bastards.
What's the acronym again? What's the acronym?
GIPSTIC.
That's
I
not
thought you
like
said
an insult.
dipstick.
I almost got offended when you said.
Some days,
I'm like, excuse me.
Oh, is that a bad name? I don't know, but yeah, that's what that's the acronym for is GIPSTIC. And I was, well, of course, an EMS instructor. If I said something bad, I apologize.
No, I'm just laughing because Corey's laughing and I'm laughing and Corey's laughing. So yeah, anyway.
Only the cops get this word and we're left out.
Yeah.
But, you can tell me off the camera, please. So they like to have me come down because at the time, before there was this shortage of police officers, if you were a DNR officer, if you were a state police officer, whatever, a police agency with the state, you had to have first responder. That was minimum. You couldn't get out of the academy without being a first responder. And so I would go down and I would help them teach classes on weekends. And there were sometimes very large classes and other times there were small classes. And after a while, I developed a relationship with the other instructors from the police side because they've lived with them for, I don't know, however many weeks or whatever. And they'll be like, all right, this guy's got this weakness, this guy's got that. After a while, one of the things that I used to do and that I was an expert at, because I've had it happen to me, that talking about training, is a diabetic emergency with a DNR agent. He's deep in the woods. He's got a guy with a gun. And the guy's he's not drunk, he's not high, his sugar's low, and he doesn't know where he's at, doesn't know what's going on, and then you show up. Boom. It's a simple solution. You talk to the guy, you move the gun away, you give him a little sugar. Problem solved. But if the officers don't respond appropriately, it escalates. And I had this one rookie so mad that they had to step in because they thought he was going to punch me because I was like, you're not coming for my gun. I got my Second Amendment rights. Yeah. And I was talking like somebody out of their head and he was just getting madder and madder. I'm just and then the names start calling and stuff. And he had to take the whole class over, the first responder over. Because I said, you can't, what if the guy's drunk? Even then you can't do that, but this guy's having a medical emergency and you're ready to pull the asp out and beat the hell out of them. So, and you can't do that. So it was a teaching moment. It's a teaching moment for me too, because I didn't realize how quickly a short-tempered person with a gun can be. Luckily at that point in time, they only had the little plastic guns. They didn't have real guns, but because he was ready to punch me. I mean, he really was angry. And I told him later, I said, dude, it's not personal. I said, because if that happens to you, you're going to go to jail, not him, because he's sick. He's not, even if you're drunk or high or whatever, you still have sicknesses. You still have illnesses, and that was one things that I used to just preach into the Georgia State Police. And they loved having me down there because I could piss the troopers off so fast. But it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't out. I mean, we would afterwards go out and laugh and joke and have fun. Oh, you're a cop. I'm a paramedic, that type of thing. But it wasn't personal. And a lot of them realized it later. So, in the county I worked in, we used to have to go stand by when they rode the lightning or got maced. They got pepper spray, whatever it is. Yeah. Where they spray in the forehead instead of the eyes. It's like a dot. Had a girl only ticket I've ever gotten in my entire career. Only ticket I've ever gotten. This officer, she was a rookie. She had an allergic reaction and an asthma reaction to being pepper sprayed. And she got sick fast. And so luckily we were right there and I took care of her. I took her to the hospital, got her better. Go forward 2 years later, she's got released by her FTO. She's out on her own. This guy decides to not be paying attention and drives into the back of another vehicle. I'm guilty. I mean, I did it. I mean, it's hard to, y'all are cops. It's hard to get out of driving into, there's no brake marks. There's boom, drove right in. So it was her that showed up and she come to me and she goes, I have tried every way in the world not to cite you or write you a ticket, but I can't do it. And I'm like, why? And it didn't even click. I mean, she looked familiar, but I worked with so many officers. And she goes, you don't remember me? And I'm like, no, ma'am, I don't. She's like, you saved my life. I was like, you're the officer. And she's like, yeah, that was me. And so, yeah, that was kind of interesting. She's like, I'm so sorry. I got to write you a ticket. I'm like, I did it. I mean, I admit I did it. You can't, there's no skid marks there. I was turned looking this way and,
I was in Fort Liberty, which used to be Fort Bragg, right? And I used to be in shape. That was in my younger years, and I used to belong to the 82nd Airborne Bicycle Team, and it was basically for show. And it was a Sunday morning, and it was really nice. It was a spring. I remember it was spring, and I was in a groove, and I'm like running on my bicycle, my racing bicycle, right in Fort Bragg. And I'm like, and I hear this woo, and I'm like, and I go like this, like, past, the MPs, right? And they're like, woo, and I'm like, and they're like, you're on the bicycle, pull over. And I'm like, okay. So I stop, right, take my helmet off, right? And they're like, do you have an ID? And I'm like, passing the ID, and they're like, Sergeant, do you realize how fast you were going? And I'm like, I'm sorry, no, I don't have a little, speedometer or nothing like that. He says, you realize what's the speed limit here? And I said, I think 25. They're like, yeah. And you were going 45, 25. And I was like, what? I'm like, yes. I'm like, because I was like, I was like stoked. And I was like, wow, man, I was going 45. And they're like, okay, calm down. Just slow down. Okay. We're not going to give you a ticket, but slow down. Right. And they give me my ID back, and they left. And that's another story that when I tell people, like, no, you're full of it. Like, you never got stopped, on a bicycle. I'm like, I'm telling you, I got stopped on a bicycle by the MPs, man.
What was that, 40 years ago?
Yeah, about something like that. Yeah, it was 1986, actually.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself there. Yeah.
I was being sarcastic. I was throwing it out there, Isaac.
Yeah. Now, I want to tell you one last story, guys. And this is another story that people say you're full of it. I'm full of stories, but this is all true stories. I think somebody's looking out for me. I don't know. But you guys remember Blackwater? Remember that there used to be a place called Blackwater here in Virginia. Mm-hmm. And it was really famous, but then they got into trouble because some of the contractors that were going overseas and that were doing unethical things, and basically the company went under. Well, before that happened, it used to be a training center here in Virginia. Used to go down to Blackwater. So they told us, we're going to have a hostage negotiation training down there, and we're going to have lodging for you guys. So I used to be a Harley rider, huge Harley rider. So I'm like, oh, it's 4 hours from here. I'm going to take my Harley. So I go ahead, take my Harley there, and the training starts, and it's like the training starts like at 7, and we finish at 9. So at 7 o'clock at night, they say, guys, we're sorry. The rooms were taken by somebody else, and you're going to have to sleep in your cars. And I'm like, okay, hold on. I brought my motorcycle. I don't have a car. So they're like, oh, well, I mean, and I didn't have a sleeping bag, nothing. So I called, looked around. I called, and there was a B&B right outside the place, but you have to drive out. And now there's no lights, nothing out there. So the training stopped like at 9:30. I called the woman. I said, hey, listen, you have a room? She's like, yeah, come on over. I have a room, blah, blah, blah. So I'm riding my motorcycle, and it was not really full moon. It was kind of like you could see the little light, but it was really dark. But you could still see kind of like things. So I'm riding my motorcycle, like nothing. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to go back to bed, whatever. And I hear like the ruffle in the bushes. And a bear comes out and starts running next to my motorcycle, right? And I could hear the bear going, oh, 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 oh. like that. And I'm like, and my hands started sweating. I'm like, what's happening? Is this bear gonna attack me? Is it gonna like knock me over? Like, what's gonna happen here? So I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, God, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna die here tonight? Like, what's gonna happen? And I started accelerating because I was going like 35 at that point. I was just going slow because it was so dark. So I started accelerating, and the bear started running faster, like that, kind of going faster. And I'm like, oh my God, what's gonna happen to me? And then I started, and I looked at the speedometer. I got to 45, and then when I almost got to 50, then the bear just went back and jumped back into the bushes again. And this is another story. Like when I went back the next morning, I told guys, you're not gonna believe what happened. They're like, you're so full of it, Isaac. That never happened to you, man. Can you please stop making up stories, man? Like, this and that. To this day, it has been one of those things. Like, I don't know what was that about. And people ask me, what do you think the bear was doing? I say, I have no idea. I have no. Maybe it was a young one trying to play. Maybe it was a mom trying to get me ready for the Cubs. I have no idea. All I know that I'm here to tell you the story. That's all I know. But yeah, that really happened.
Yogi goes back to the base camp and goes, "You ain't gonna believe what I did to this human." Oh, that's funny though. I didn't realize they were that fast. Holy cow! Wow.
Yeah.
In
Well, I
Montana,
didn't either.
Montana, the bears eat you. So, just throwing that out there.
What do you say, Corey?
In Montana, the bears actually eat you. They don't run alongside you. Just putting that out there.
I guess Virginia's for lovers, and the bears are too. I guess I don't know.
Please tell me you haven't ran that call, Corey.
No, we actually over the past 2 years, I think there's been 3 bear maulings where the guys have actually survived.
Wow.
One actually, I just watched a news article just a couple days ago. A guy just got out of the hospital, but he's got a prosthetic jaw. The bear grabbed him by his jaw.
Jeez.
And literally just drug him like a rag doll. He bit his leg. He had half his leg gone. They sewed it all up, and he's talking now with a prosthetic jaw, with the bottom face is all prosthetic.
Wow.
He's alive.
I'm not camping out there.
It's crazy. We actually had a camper last year, a female. They were on a cross country, riding their bikes across country, and they camped out in this tent, and the convenience store owners that were close to the campground, hey, you might not want to do that. There's been bear sightings around here the last couple days. Well, she did not live that night.
That's rough.
Are those
rough.
Montana? Those grizzly or black bears? What are they?
Mostly grizzly. We got some black bear too. Yeah, but a lot of them are grizzlies.
Yeah, I've seen pictures and their paws are, they're
huge.
Yeah.
Like a frying pan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they get
they're massive.
They're like 600-700 pounds or something. They're huge. I've seen pictures where people have hunted them.
I was told by my dad when I was growing up, the whole time growing up, it's still stuck in my head. If you get a bear chasing you, run downhill. Don't run uphill. Don't climb a tree. You run downhill because their front paws, their front legs are shorter than their back ones, and they'll go ass over tea kettle. Run downhill.
That might be true because I saw a video where a bear was trying to get this goat, and he was downhill, and then when he grabbed it, he started rolling with the goat. So your story, yeah.
Run downhill.
You never tested it, I assume.
No. We carry bear spray around here.
Okay.
Bear spray?
Oh yeah, we got big.
It's not hairspray, bear spray.
Big canister of bear spray. Yeah.
I'm just
Here-
waiting for Warren to come up with a contraption that is like a, you know, like one of those napalm kind of thing with spray kind of thing, you know.
Well, that might work, but still, like if you're in their territory, it's like that's your problem. You ought to know better than that.
Yeah.
But still, it's like what can you
Yeah.
pack? What can you pack just to? What's going to take a bear down? Like a big grizzly comes at you.
Here in Georgia, they tell us we don't have. I mean, I assume there's bear spray. I've never seen
10
it, but they
mm.
give us the horns. It's a really loud, you know. You know what I'm talking about? Just a
Yeah. The
Well,
one at the
Georgians are
stadium.
big.
The ones at the stadium.
yeah, exactly. That's what they give you when you go camping here in Georgia. Maybe I'm hanging out with the wrong crowd, but
Yeah, you are. What do you expect to do? Like the NFL? Unnecessary roughness.
yeah,
Black bear. Ha ha. Like, you
I'm not gonna sound effect for that somewhere over here. I gotta have one somewhere over here. There it is. Let's
there you go, right there. You go. See?
Chasing me. I got this. I'm running downhill while I'm doing it too, by God. But yeah, that's all they give us here. I don't, or at least me. Maybe I'm retarded in the woods. I don't know.
We carry bear spray and we carry guns whenever we go camping.
Well, yeah, we carry guns too. So, but I would probably. Well, they would say, don't shoot the bear. They're friendly. It's Yogi. Don't shoot the bear. So you use your little horn. They'll go away. So it's totally. I don't know.
No,
I'm.
we won't.
What if they don't go away? What do you do?
And I'm out of air. I'm screwed. Because they're all just filled with like air, isn't it? Just like a
Yeah, it's like
whistle.
a little can like this. Yeah, like this big.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a little teeny tiny. It's like a whistle. Yeah.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
That's just gonna piss them off. No, don't do that. Don't be
You mean they
that
won't
guy.
start dancing at least? Mental note: I will find bear spray now. I did not know that. Well, that's great. I mean, these are the things you learn. So, and Isaac, when we talked, you were like, "Oh, we're going to talk an hour about challenge coins." No, we can do shiny, and we're all over the place. I mean, we love our challenge coins. And Corey, have you got yours handy where you can show him? I actually put yours on my desk or on my table the other day, so it's behind me.
I'll go grab it.
Corey's got a really badass one that he designed. It's a state. Well, I'll let him tell you all about it. But it's the shape of the state of Montana, and since he's a protection and patrol, I think that's the right name for it. He's got barbed wire completely around the state.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really intricate.
So do you bleed every time you hold it?
Well, I don't because they didn't make mine sharp. I wouldn't be surprised if Corey had sit there and sharpened it before he sent it to me.
I would for you, Glenn.
Yeah, I know you would. Don't make me have your girl call us. So.
Easy. Down there.
She's in the chat. She said hello to us. So. Yeah, Corey has designed some pretty cool ones. Most of mine have been pretty generic.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
I tell everybody what it means.
So it's our benevolent coin. So I started a benevolent fund for our region for any officers that are going through any medical issues, stuff like that. So the symbol of the three guys reaching for the fourth guy, that's one of the symbols of benevolency. So we put that on the coin, and it's just a build a fund for our officers in our region that are kind of strapped for cash, going through any medical issues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We have a guy that's got stage 4, and it's all in his lymph nodes, and surgery's out of the option at this point. And he's been flying out to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester for his chemo treatments because basically Montana gave up on him. So design this coin, we're selling this coin just to put money in the fund for us officers. And then this was our very first coin. Designed this coin. It's Great Falls region, and it's got the four cities that are involved in my region, like Lewistown, Cutbank, Shelby, Great Falls. And in the back, it's got two wolves.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And it's got the blue eyes and the red eye. But the saying on the top of this is, you are the wolf that you feed. So you could be an asshole to me and I'll be an asshole to you, or you treat me with respect and I'll treat you with respect, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's probation and parole. So we deal with all walks of life, no different than a cop.
Yeah.
And it's all about respect, you know. And you give me respect, I'll give you respect. If you don't give me respect, you're gonna have a long day. You know what I mean?
Is it the
I like the
backbone?
background music, Corey.
Backbone. Give me a minute.
All right. Yeah, he is on call for that region, and if somebody goes outside of their whatever location,
like
he
the
gets a phone
bracelet?
call.
Oh.
Yeah. So he gets a phone call, and he either has to, as a supervisor, go get them himself or send somebody to go get them.
It's
So-
broken. I meant to tell you. Can you see how many people we got in the room?
Sometimes I can and sometimes I can't. And I know at one point in time I saw the number 12 up there, but I have no number now. And I know there's still people in the chat. So maybe I can look over here on YouTube. Hold on.
I was just curious because I don't see it anywhere. That's why.
Well, it popped up there at first. And when we first started, there was 12.
Oh, okay.
And let's see. Well, it's showing that. Oh, that's 12. So that's the original number. I sometimes don't know if I understand the YouTube dynamics on these things, because we had one show that I thought, not this particular show, but another show, I was like, this show sucked. Who's going to watch this? And I got the next day, YouTube sends me like, oh, congratulations. That's the first time you've had 200 viewers. And I'm like, 200 people watch that? So I have not figured out if they're analytics or people are bored on Friday night or what, but we do have a good following. I know, of course, if you've never heard of the Thin Line Rock Station, it's a internet radio station that is owned by first responders. It's a police officer, and I think the other one is a firefighter, and play nothing but rock music. Well, they asked me to come in because they didn't really have anybody. It was just continual music. It was a computer, and every now and then they'd come in. They asked me on Tuesdays and Thursdays to come in and, kind of just have a little show. And so I get to pick some music and go in and BS, and I'll tell, news, sports, stuff like that. It's international, so you can't really give the time or weather or anything, but it's kind of cool. And I've gotten some pretty good feedback out of that. So I like that a lot. So a lot of times from there, I'll get some followers. And then another organization that we hooked up with right when we started this show, Susan Smith, protectingtheblue.com. She is goes around and meets police officers, and she gives you a good luck charm to carry with you. And it's a little poker chip. And I'm not a police officer, obviously, but since we did the show, she sent me one. So that's one of the organizations I like to talk about that is kind of got a lot of people fed over to her show. And she's also selling coins too, because she's trying to get to the, you're going to be mad if I say it wrong, but it's the memorial they have in Washington, D.C. for the police officers every year. It's a fallen firefighters in Emmitsburg, Maryland, but I'm not sure what it's called for in D.C. But that's what she's trying to raise money to. She lives in North Carolina, to get there, to be a part of the show and give a coin to every police officer, police officer's family she comes in contact with. So I think that's a good idea. So, and you need to get me the information, Isaac, about the Loudon officer. I'll put it out as well, because we want to help out any of the officers or firefighters that we can. So anytime.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I don't have my work phone with me right now. I will have to go get it, but yeah, I'll send it to you.
That's cool. Corey, you got to go get a bad guy, or?
No. Chuck is in the middle of something, and he's working late night tonight. He's in the middle of something, so he called me. That was the first time Chuck called me, and then the second time one of the deputies called me. So trying to go find the guy. So he's acting up.
So I guess I could take that bracelet off.
They can cut it, yeah. So I had one guy that gave me the finger without giving me the finger. I told him to get his poop in a group or else he's gonna go to jail. He's a parolee, and he was slipping up. And I gave him a couple chances already. I'm like, dude, like, pull it together, or you're going back to prison. There's no other options at this point because he started using meth and all that stuff. The very next day, he jumps in his car, and long story short, he cuts the bracelet an hour away from here, throws it in the ditch on the interstate in between the two highways and the two lanes, throws it in the ditch, and they catch him in North Carolina.
Holy cow.
Yeah. But when they cut the strap, I get an automatic alert. And
That's good.
not only do I get a text message, I get a call from our vendor who we use for our GPS. And they call me, talking to a live person, hey, this is what happened, this is where it's at. So we go out and find it. And you can try and look for them, but once they cut, they're on the run, right?
Yeah.
So we automatically issue a warrant at that time. And I actually had another guy. This was a really a freak incident, a freak coincidence. One of my coworkers is on call, and I'm running the ISP program, so all of my fenders and all GPS units go to this phone. Well, there's 8 officers that are on call. We take this phone home between all 8 of us. So all the on-call officers know my offenders because if there's a schedule change, they got to call, even if it's after hours. Hey, I'm going to be late an hour at work, or can I go do whatever? I always tell my offenders, no such thing as emergency roll of toilet paper on a Sunday evening at 8 o'clock. You're not going, kind of thing, right? They got to stay home. They got to have legitimate excuses to go. Anyways, get a cut strap. And the on-call officer at the time, he really wasn't savvy in how it all works. So he calls me, and I'm like, let's suit up. Let's go. So we meet at the McDonald's parking lot, close to where he cut the strap. I find the GPS unit pinging on the roof of the Hilton Garden Inn hotel. He cut it and he tossed it up on the roof of the hotel. I'm like, well, that was a dick move, but thanks. And it's snowing, right? But I see the lights flashing in the middle of the roof, and these GPS, if you're hiding in a bush outside of a house, I can find you. I could tell you what part of Walmart you're in because that is that accurate. These GPS units are, right? Seriously, it is. So obviously it's 1 o'clock in the morning. GPS units laying on top of the roof. I'm like, issue the warrant. We'll get maintenance of the hotel tomorrow. We go out and get it. So that's what we did. But anyways, find the GPS unit. He drops me back off at the McDonald's parking lot. And he says, well, I'm hungry. I'm just gonna go through the drive-through here. He gets behind the car in the drive-through. By this time, I'm almost home, and I hear him calling over a radio, calling 28 for this license plate. Can I get a 28 on this? And I'm like, what the hell are you doing, Mike? Go home, right? But he's calling out a 28 on this card that's kind of suspicious in the drive-through McDonald's. I'm like, what is he doing? Anyways, he follows this car to the back door of this casino. And he blacks out. He watches this car. He watches one person get out of the car, goes into the casino, and then lo and behold, who comes out of the casino? The guy that cut his strap. Not even kidding you. Take him into custody. By this time, the police show up. We already got him detained. He's already in the back of our car. I'm at home. I'm sleeping by this time. I'm like, Mike, you're on your own, pal. Like, he's one of those guys. He's a shit magnet just like me. It's inevitable, right? Shit's gonna go south.
We have him in fire EMS too.
They take this guy back to his hotel room where he was living in one of those walk into your motel room from the outside, one of those little rinky-dink motel rooms that was 2 blocks from the Hilton. So he's living in this shithole motel room. And Mike walks in there and finds a dead lady in the bathtub that he just killed. He just killed this girl that night and put her in the bathtub.
So he's playing this getaway.
Yeah.
Wow.
All from going through the drive-thru of McDonald's. This guy would have been long gone. Long gone. We knew it. We knew he would have done it because the room is registered to him.
Sure, yeah.
But there's a lady that's dead in the bathtub. We knocking on the door after we went to that motel room, and we could see there's a light on in the bathroom, but the shower curtain was closed. Couldn't see nothing. So that's why we went over to the other hotel to where it was pinging, found the GPS unit, and then we went back to the motel room, and yeah, lady was dead in the bathtub. And
wow.
He just got sentenced here. I guess it's been a couple years now. He got sentenced for murder. Yeah. You can't make this stuff up, man. You just
no, you can't.
It's crazy shit. Every day is a different day. You cannot duplicate any one day.
That's why
do you know the backstory as to how she ended up there? Like, did he pick her up, or were they in a relationship? Do you know anything about that?
There was no relationship at all. She was going there to get dope.
Yeah.
And what's sad about this story is, I don't know how it is in the laws over in Virginia or in Oklahoma. We found the next of kin, which was her kids and her ex-husband. If a body is not claimed in the state of Montana, there's no funeral costs. They cremate the body without any funeral, and it just goes away, disappears. Her kids and her ex-husband did not claim the body.
Oh. Wow. Well,
it sucks, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What the hell?
And people wonder why we get so messed up after being on this job for so long. I mean, it's the crazy things. And, sometimes you get the ones, I told everybody about the comical one where my very first call release as a paramedic was the clown that, necrophilia, whatever it is, where he was playing with himself with the thing around his neck and went a little too far. Yeah. Some of them you just look at and go, what the hell? And others you just like, wow, this isn't right. I mean, I had a professional hit from it was a Latino gang, and Christmas Eve. I mean, it was a professional hit on the family. It was like through the eye hole, one laying in the kitchen, the other, and stuff like that. Just it messes with you. Those are the ones you still see at night. So I'm sure
it's like
too.
Yeah, like you said, sport. It's like they come back when you least suspect it too.
They do.
It's like I could be on a cruise vacation and I'm laying by the pool, and here comes this guy that I saw dead. And this is a true story. I saw this guy I did not show up for work. And the people is like, he always comes to work. We're worried about him. Can you go check out? Can you, we went to his apartment, but the front door is ajar, but we didn't want to go in. So I go there and I wait for backup, and the apartment is really clean. I mean, nothing weird. Then finally we go to the bedroom. There's a body hanging from the ceiling with a black hood on, totally naked, and the hands are tied in the back. And to this day, it's like that's one of the scenes that always comes back to me when I least suspect it. I'm just could be whatever. It's like, oh wow, it's like, and sometimes you wonder. We talk about paranormal, right? Are they trying to tell me something? Why does he keep coming back? Because in my career of almost 25 years, I saw, and I told this to my wife the other day, and she could not believe it. I would see at least 2 dead bodies every week. And almost every week, at least two. And a lot of them died in horrible ways.
Yeah.
Jumped from buildings, poisoned, stabbed, shot, anything. But they're just a few of all of those that keep coming back, and that guy is one of them. He keeps coming back, and I wonder why that is. Why because like I told you, I saw so many. Yeah,
I got one very similar to yours too, I was reliving what you were talking about. There's one that stuck with me too. She was 21 years old, on for drugs. She already had a 5-year-old, and she had a 3-year-old. And my partner and I, she didn't show up for work. Middle of a summer day. It's like car's at home. Her apartment door's locked, but her keys are in her car or in the ignition. So I'm like, something's not right here, right? She's not answering the door. This was at about 2:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. So here in Great Falls, school gets out at 2:40. The bus stop for the 5-year-old was right at the front of this apartment building. Before that, grab the keys, and we're like, we need to make entry. We can hear her phone ringing inside her apartment. Something's going on. We make entry. We start clearing the house, the apartment, and there she was, laying naked in a full bathtub full of water with 3 pill bottles laying on the floor. That was one of my first deaths while being a PO. And ever since then, the adrenaline hits, right?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't remember the address I was at. I had to run out to the street corner to call dispatch for the address, to give them the address. I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah.
And right at the same time, the school bus was dropping the kid off. I'm like, dude, I'd stay outside. I'd console the kids until we got a hold of DFS, or we get a hold of someone next to kin, because lights and sirens are going to be here any second, and the kids can't see mom. It's going to be bad juju. And from that, that's a training lesson, right? From that day forward, I know every goddamn address I go to before I get out of that car. Because if shit were to go south, I know the address. That day, didn't know it. I left my partner in there to maintain the scene, and I'd run out to the street corner to find the freaking address to call it out. Like, what? But you learn from your mistakes, right? And that still stuck with me, and that'll be stuck with me for the rest of my life, just because of everything that was happening and going on right at that time. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I've run plenty of, I had Isaac. What you were talking about, I think I had 3 hanging calls go through my mind that I've ran. One of them was like at 3:00 in the morning, in a neighborhood. They were playing basketball, and there was a prostitute that supposedly, I'm not police, so I don't know how this works, but had hung herself, and they were still playing basketball and got pissed that we wanted them to get. We're not in a third world country, for God's sakes, but this happens, and people just don't understand it, and because they wanted to fight with us. So here I'm EMS, and I'm like, dude, seriously, it's a basketball game. Walk it off, and yeah, and that I think to me was more traumatizing than the actual victim and stuff. That these are teenage kids that were just so, I don't even know what the right word is, but it wasn't like didn't bother. They were still playing basketball with a hanging body there. I ran another one where a lady, she hung herself on a tree just inside the apartment gate where you go in the gate, and she just dropped to her knees, visible, plain daylight. I mean, and it's like people are so callous, or so, I don't know. And those are the ones. But you talk about PTSD. Until I was attacked by the pit bull and taken off the line of duty, I only had one call where I called in sick the next shift. One call. And I was proud of that, even though I still see her face a lot of nights. But until I got taken off the streets, it didn't bother me. And then once and everybody's like, you don't get PTSD from a dog bite. And I'm like, no, dumbass. It was the 25 years of calls of bad shit I've seen that I can't forget, And so that's one thing that annoys me. And then they're like, well, you don't look like you have PTSD. You were a soldier. And I'm like,
how can you describe what someone looks like that has PTSD?
Well, but the movies, they generalize the movies, and but getting back, they say, well, that's usually for the military, whatever. A lot of people don't realize some of the inner cities, yeah, it's not rainbows and unicorns there.
Yeah.
So it's a bad area in Atlanta. I mean, there's several of them. Are you okay, Warren? We need to call it.
No, I'm good. No, I was thinking about what you said, Isaac. Though, I mean, that kind of, a case to come back to you like that, to keep coming back. I mean, to walk in on a body like that with forced entry, and then that seems kind of fishy in general. Like maybe there was a rule of suicide or homicide.
So, I didn't tell you something else. There was a condom on the floor. So he was hanging over the, if you can visualize, over the bed. His feet were on the bed, and he was naked, black hood on. You're going to see his face, and the hands tied behind his back, and there was a condom on the floor. So the preliminary idea was that it was a sexual thing that went wrong, went bad, and he was there with somebody else in his house, and that person freaked out and left, the other person. So then it went to, because at that point I was a patrol officer, so I took the initial report, and then it went to, but that was a preliminary idea. But I got a funny story for you, though. Let's change it to a funny story. So,
Absolutely.
in the same neighborhood that I'm talking about, that was my area. I'm Spanish speaker, and I was one of those officers that went to the Latino community, So I get a call. Dispatch sent me to a call for destruction of property. Pretty boring, whatever. So I go in there. I go, knock on the door. The guy opens the door and said, in Spanish, what happened? He's like, and there's a huge hole in the ceiling of the living room. like the drywall is down on the floor, huge hole. And I said, what happened here? He's like, officer, you see that table right there? I was reading the Bible and 2 naked women fell from the ceiling. I said, excuse me? He's like, officer, I was reading the Bible. And I said, what part were you reading? New Testament, Old Testament? He's like, that doesn't matter. I was just making light of it. Maybe I should have not made light of it. Anyway, so he said, honestly, officer, I was reading the Bible. It's right there. You see the Bible right there. And all of a sudden I hear this thunderous noise. And then 2 naked women fall from the ceiling. And I said, how old were they? He said, I don't know, maybe early 20s, maybe. And I said, do you recognize any of them? He's like, yeah, I think one of them is my neighbor. So I go there, knock on the door, and an older lady opens the door. And I said, you happen to have a sister, a daughter that looks, black hair, this and that. I described her. And Kelly just said, I hate when that happens. So she said, yeah, it's my daughter. And so I said, can you have her talk to me? So the daughter comes with her head down and says, and I asked her, is there anything I should know about that happened today? She's like, yeah. So I'm embarrassed to tell you this. And I was up there experimenting with a friend of mine, and we were on the attic aspect of the apartments, and we laid on the drywall, and we didn't know it was not gonna be able to support us. And then when we were laying down, we were kissing and stuff, it just came down, right? So then I said, you're responsible for the damages, right? And she's like, yeah. And I said, well, okay, here's a report number. I'll give the guy a report number. So then, in those days, in the reports, you have to put a summary, right? Or the little report, like a couple of sentences. So I put, a man was praying and 2 naked women fell from the ceiling, which is true, right? And then a couple of weeks later, I go to the detective bureau and they have magnified my report and put it on the wall because it was so funny. They could not believe it, So yeah, that was my funny story. Yeah.
Then again, there's things that, as a firefighter, we would get calls like that. Like, you ain't gonna believe this. Or how this ended up there, you got all those stories, but
you probably have a story where you got to actually go to a hotel room, cut handcuffs off someone, right? You probably have one of those stories, right? Yeah.
I do not know.
No?
I did not handcuffs. No.
I never.
That happened here. The fire department had to go to the hotel room and cut handcuffs off people.
Is it hard? Is it hard to cut handcuffs? I never. Honestly,
you need
I
bolt cutters.
I would agree. The jaws of life. Now, if you get to meet Brenda, she was one of my co-hosts. She has a story. I'll let her tell it. If she's listening, she'll kill me for it. But she was a Vegas police officer and somehow ended up getting handcuffed herself and had to call her partner, who didn't believe her, who called his buddy.
No goddamn way I'd call my partner.
So yeah, I'll let Brenda explain that. It's a great story. But I was gonna tell you, Isaac, one of my first Christmas here in Atlanta, I got held hostage. So we go out Christmas Eve. Once again, the holidays seem to stick out. I can tell you certain holidays exactly where I was. Christmas Eve, Go to this house, non-emergency. We weren't even on an ambulance. We were on a snack wagon. Basically, we would go out there and check you out, make sure you were okay. If you needed an ambulance, we'd have one come, but otherwise we were just there to provide first aid. My partner was in seminary. He was really, everybody was a great person. And here I'm already a little bit corrupted, like everybody will slice your throat and leave you hanging out in the backyard, So we get this call for a lady who slipped and fell, and she's laying in the front yard. She thinks she broke her leg. Okay, well, we'll go out there and check on her until an ambulance is available. They can take her to the hospital. No big deal. So get out there. We pull up. There's nobody laying in the front yard. And I'm like, that's cold. Maybe one of her family members took her in, and it really isn't broke, but it scared them. So knock on the door. True story. Swear to God, every kind of dog I've ever seen in my entire life come running to that sliding glass door. And the guy's coming, and he's pushing the dogs away, and he's yelling. And I'm like, did you call for a lady who fell in the yard? He's like, yeah, she's down there. I'm thinking, what? Okay. So we go in the house now. He's got his dogs secured, all 50 of them. There was easily 6 or 7. It sounded like a wolf pack. And when he said down there, I thought maybe he put her on a bed or something. He goes, no, that door. And I opened the door, and it's a stairway. And I thought, okay, maybe she fell inside and dispatch got it screwed up. So me and my partner go bebopping down there. Soon as we get to the bottom of the stairs, slam, click, lights off. The only light that I carried on me at that time was that stupid damn medical pin light. And you know how bright those are. You can't see nothing. And she's laying down there crumpled up. She's beat all to hell. So I was like, you didn't fall, did you? And my partner's like, well, we'll pray for you, man. Let's see if we can get you upstairs. I'm like, no. Hold on a minute, John. I was like, how many guns does he have upstairs? And she's like, well, I'm not really a gun person, but a lot of them, big ones. I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work out. So I go upstairs, knock on the door. I'm like, hey, paramedic Jax, I want to come out. And he's like, take care of the bitch. I'm like, oh man, this ain't good. So I go back down the stairs. And as I'm down there, we're trying to treat her at the bottom of the stairs. We can't see. I'm the only one with the pin light. From that day forward, I had at least 2 lights on me at all times. I hear something in the basement.
One of those keychain lights.
I got a keychain light. I got one on my uniform. And they made fun of me because I had so many lights. I was never going to be without a light again. And I hear something in the basement. And I'm thinking, okay, hopefully that's the cat. The dogs are upstairs. Hopefully that's the cat. And it's an underground basement. And so I'm like,
that's creepy.
I'm like, yeah, there's no light. And I'm like, ma'am, who else is down here with us? She goes, my boyfriend. I'm like, this time Christmas Eve is just getting better and better. So I'm like, is there another way out? And she's like, no, we're in the basement. And I'm like, keep the radio. And those 800 megahertz radios work so well when you got aluminum and concrete around you. So I crawl around through the basement using my firefighter skills, find the dryer, punch the dryer vent out, stick my antenna out to thing. I'm TAC 15, mayday. Finally, somebody hears me. Luckily, I can stick my radio out because I've got a speaker mic. And the dispatcher's like, where are you? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, dispatch has now lost me. I'm like, the call you sent us on for the lady who fell in the front yard, we're in the basement. There's like 50 dogs and a bunch of guns upstairs, and the guy who don't want to let us out, and the lights are all off. This ain't good. We need help. She goes, well, do you need a fire truck? No, I need some cops. A lot of them. So she sends, it wasn't our county. We were in a small city. So they show up. He enters the door, and they're like, where's the paramedics? Their ambulance is out front here. And he goes like, oh, they're taking care of her. And he goes to slam the door again, and the cop's like, hold on a minute. He puts his foot in the door, and he goes, let's talk about this for a minute. He goes, where exactly are they? He goes, they're taking care of her right down there. And he goes, why don't we get to see them? And by this time, more officers started showing up because I guess the one officer realized that it wasn't, a bunch of crap. And so they get us out. We get an ambulance. And the supervisor for Chambly PD comes to me. He goes, I hate to do this. He goes, but I want to ask. He goes, I'm going to let this be on YouTube. Of course, I was like, okay. He's like, Dude came home early from work. He has no history. He has no history of violence. We don't know that he hurt her. She says she fell, whatever. He come home, found the boyfriend knocking the bottom out of that thing. He lost his shit, threw him down the stairs. He beat the shit out of the boyfriend and her, threw him down the stairs, locked the door, waited a couple hours, felt really bad about it, and called for EMS. He goes, we could make a lot of charges out of this. He goes, it's Christmas Eve. He came home early from work. He has two jobs. The cop was really, he's like, he has 2 jobs. He goes, no history. She doesn't want to press charges. Boyfriend's already gone. He goes, it's up to you guys. And I'm like, oh, why are you putting this on me? I'm pretty upset at this point. I've been held hostage. I was like, well, I'm thinking he got the dogs off of us. He could let dogs on. He could have shot through the floor. I'm like, I'm still rookie enough. I got enough of a heart. I was like, let him go. Let him go. So now I don't know that he ended up being a mass murderer later in life. I never kept up with the story, but yeah, my first Christmas Eve in Atlanta, I was held hostage. It was good times.
The whole story about the only thing I got was I would have never thought of breaking that dryer line and putting my radio out there. Right. That whole story, I was like, that was pretty smart. I would have never done that.
It was the only thing. It was the only the sunlight. It was the only light I could see in that basement, and I knew my pen light wasn't going to last much longer.
That's pretty smart. I would have been like, what do I do? I would have never thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
it makes sense. Now that I think it makes sense.
Yeah, it just got me enough of a signal. That's all I needed. But luckily, from that day forward, I had a flashlight on my uniform, one in my pocket, one on my keychain. I was not without a light. I could not do it.
But I had a great time, guys. I gotta go now.
Yeah, we've kept you longer than we meant to. I'm sorry about that, Isaac.
No, that's good. That's good. It was really, I really enjoyed it, and I hope that we can do it again soon.
I want to see your coin. And when Matt gets back, we'll invite you. And do you know by any chance from Fairfax, Major Ed O'Carroll? He punched out as a detective, and now he's doing DNA crimes.
Maybe I saw his face, but no. I mean, when the sniper stuff was going on in DC, we're working with Fairfax police, the whole thing, because it was multi-jurisdictional, and I remember working with a lot of people from Fairfax, but no, I don't remember. He has to be my age, because I see a lot of young officers now, and I'm like, I don't, oh, when did you start? I started in 2001. I'm like, wow, I had already been a cop, like almost, over 10 years, at that point, whatever. So, yeah.
Same with
time
us.
Time flies.
Yeah, my entire class, there's not many of us left in the fire department. I mean, I'm out obviously before them, but yeah, I'm thinking about 92 and stuff, and here these kids are like, I got 4 more years. 4 more years.
Yeah, next time I'll tell you about 9/11. I was one of the first responders at the Pentagon that day. So yeah.
I want to hear that. I want to hear that.
So. Next time I'll tell you about that. Now, the only thing I'm gonna tell you about that right now, I'm gonna leave you with is since then, no lie, about 10 to 15 people have asked me if that really happened. So if the 9/11 really happened.
If that, okay, gotcha. I was already in Tennessee, so I don't know that I have a story about that, but yeah, definitely, I will have you back. And also any police officers or anybody that wants to come on. This show is about challenge coins, and we do show them off and talk a lot about them, but we're also about public safety and having a good time. So please give them my name, forward them to me. Especially anybody that's written a book about their times and experiences about things. We love that as well. So, and I know you've written a book, and I didn't even get to that. So
I read, 2 books. Fiction novels. I'm working on my 3rd now. I'm almost done with it. So it's just a hobby.
All right. Well, we will have you back to talk about that. Isaac, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Good weekend.
All right, you too. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye. Hey, and did you guys notice anything else tonight, by the way? Is Corey froze?
Oh, I had to think on my face.
I know you did. I was seeing, but I don't know where Corey went. He either fell.
Is he there?
He's not moving. So, oh no, he's not there. Well, what I was going to say, and we'll wrap it up here. Have you noticed any audio pops from me?
I haven't noticed anything. It's like going pretty good through here.
Yeah, and we're at the 2-hour mark. It's really hot by 2 hours. So, new CPU, new fan, new microphone. I think I finally got it fixed. Knock on wood. So,
Wow,
see.
that was a pretty interesting story, though. I mean, that was like he said he kept going back to one. I mean, do you keep going back to one too? Like one in your one case and
There's one call that I will forever see her face. Yeah, I will always. Yeah. She was one of the. As a paramedic, everybody asked you to help them, but she was one that was in my face, and it looked like a scene out of a horror movie because there was so much blood everywhere. It wasn't a crime scene either. It was a medical scene, and I could still see her face, her teeth, her eyes, everything, begging for help. And there wasn't a damn thing I could do. Man. So yeah. She but it's not a great huge story. She'd been out partying with her friends. She was in her 20s. She was 24 actually. And she went to a gas station. Gas station found her in there coughing up blood, called 911 because she passed out. We show up. It started off bad because my partner was like, well, I was on a 4-man crew with that shift, and the driver, she was complaining, didn't want to go. It's drunk. It's after the hours, she's just a drunk. It's by the clubs, blah blah blah. Get there in the gas station, and this old Asian lady is trying to mop up all this blood, and all she's doing is pushing it around the whole floor. And I'm like, what the hell? This is like a QT. I mean, it's not a crap hole gas station, but it's a gas station. And so I'm like, well, where is the lady? I said, by this time I said, call for PD. She's obviously been stabbed, shot, something, and we just haven't got it. And the lady, I found her halfway between the bathroom and the freezer section. So get her out, and I'm like, get her on the stretcher, let's go. Because I figured she'd been stabbed. Because usually that's the amount of blood. Cut every stitch clothes off of her. Couldn't find a mark. Couldn't find a single mark on her body. In between, she's yelling for me to help me. And she's reaching for me, getting blood on my face, spitting blood in my face, reaching out to me. And I'm like, and I'm now at this point, I'm suctioning the blood, trying to get her to talk to me. Like, what have you done? What's I'm like, get 2 IVs, and we're starting to do all the medical stuff. The only thing we noticed in our assessment of her was that there was 2 scars on each side of her chest. Otherwise, she has perfect body, nothing deformed. I'm not talking sexually or anything like that. Nothing out of the way, nothing that would make you be suspicious. By the time we're pulling onto the ramp of the hospital, I'm having to start CPR on her. Get in there, and the doctor starts screaming at me because you don't bring this patient to me, blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, I hate it. Close this hospital. Don't know what the hell I got. Now we're doing CPR, and so the doc's yelling at us. So we're still helping to work the call, to work the patient, and do CPR and stuff. And so she calls. She says, I need blood draw. I want to see what drug she's taking. I'm like, I don't think she's taking anything. She's like, this time of night where you picked her up, yeah, she's taking something. And the blood draw lady comes in, sticks real quick in the neck because we're doing CPR. They've already got lines in her, IVs in her arms, and she turns to the doctor and hands her the tube. And doc says, "Stop." Held the tube up, and it looked like pink Kool-Aid. She'd bled out. She just had the fluid in her body. It was from the bags I had hanging. That was it.
Oh wow!
And the doc's like, "All right, well, seal the room. You guys stay over there. We got to figure out what happened." The PD shows up and all this and can't find anything. Cops on us to make notification next to Ken. I'm like, dude, her car's in the QT parking lot. That's your job, not mine. And so we had to clean up after we write a report, go back in service. And I'm still, to this day, I can still see her face and hear her voice. And I had to take a couple shifts off. So one of the police officers kept in touch with us through his brother at the station, knew somebody at the coroner's office. Turned out when she was a teenager, she'd been involved in a tragic car wreck and they had to put chest tubes in her to get her lungs reinflated. Scars healed around an artery. She was a smoker. She coughed.
Oh man.
That was it. She coughed. And so I talked to a doctor later. He said if you had been God and a surgeon at that moment right then and there, he said you still couldn't have saved her. And I was like, that's effed up. But that's the stuff that hangs with you. And it's, you know, it's crazy, but I did my job. I did everything to the fullest, but it sucks sometimes. So this show's usually happy. I don't know where you're down the wrong hole. Warren, did you take us down the wrong hole?
I don't think so. At least I hope not. But
no, you didn't.
Like, hostage negotiators and everything, but it brought back a memory for me too. But I mean, what year was that? I was in high school, and there was some lady I'd never seen that went to to the high school I went to, and they found her dead in Alabama. And there was something carved into her body, and I was always kind of like, I like mine hunters and like shows like that now, but my mom, that story stuck with me for whatever reason, and it turns out when I was like, I did my stint through the South working and stuff, I went to that town that they found her at, and she's buried like, you know, the where I went to the high school at. So I was like, there's some sort of weird connection with that.
Yeah.
And that. I mean, from what I've researched from it. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, go ahead, finish. I was going to talk about one of our guests.
It was dark, like the stuff that, or I don't know, just for whatever reason, it's like it was down like a dark path or whatever she went through. I don't know. I didn't know her. But I've hung out in that town they found her at. So I was like, I wonder if there was some strange connection.
Well, if you remember, I can't remember his name. I want to say his name was Michael for some reason, but I'm not sure. He was the one we had on the show where he was traveling, and he was a coach, and he saw in a local news report about a girl who'd been murdered, and it just kind of caught his eye, you know, so he kind of followed the story. He started having dreams, and he was he's on the opposite coast. He's in Philadelphia, and this happened he traveled out the West Coast. She came through the dreams and told him how she was killed, and he wrote a book about it.
Yeah, I do remember you guys interviewing him.
What happens? It's weird. Right? Yeah. That's weird one. So, all right, man, we've kept everybody 2 hours. We need to get out of here. Plus, I think I need to take a pee break. So, but I
want to hear more from Isaac, man.
Isaac, I love having Isaac, and I love having Major Carol or O'Carroll. I love having him around because they both can tell you so much, and they both have such stories that can help you to where you can survive in your everyday life. I think that's just as important. So, but yeah, we're going to have both of them on. I like Isaac a lot. He's cool. So, as a matter of fact, I think he's earned himself one of our Grin Guardian challenge coins when we get him. So,
right on, man.
All right. So we got the Misfits tomorrow, and the tomorrow we got a couple guests, and we're going to be talking about radio and internet relationships, whether it's me and Warren, our relationship, or maybe me and Uncommon Soul. I don't know. It could be anybody. So we're just going to have a Misfit type of show and a couple guests. So it's going to be a great evening. I'm looking forward to it. And then Wednesday on the Paranormal Guys, I hate to tease everybody, but that's a little too loud. Let me turn it down. Robin Williams is coming back. I got him Wednesday night. Prove me wrong. I've said this the third time he hadn't showed up, so. All right, so that's where we are. I want to thank Yerg's Radio for having us and allowing us to go out on their channel. Yerg's is great. He boosts our, well, not only our morale, but he boosts our shows up a lot. and WDJY. Of course, this show's not put on there. Then there's also, you can see us on Radio Fairfax. No, hear us on Radio Fairfax just outside Washington, D.C. You can see us in Denver and San Francisco now. So check that out. Everybody have a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you soon.